Hello people, yes, I'm finished building the Serpent 990E 1.8 track electric. The paint job, well, it's not the best job I've done. I had this plan to put some color on the body and use a strong fan to blow the color, so you should see some stretch out colors. But the colors, watercolors, they did dry very fast. So I got these blobs instead. So it's look kind of funny. It's like gold paint, a blue paint, a white paint, and the body itself got the lighter blue. But it looks alright. And as I always say, on some distance, everything looks good. Or looks the same. But it's not that bad, really. For me, it's okay. So I've not driven this car yet. Today I could really do it, but I'm not sure if I got time today. And tomorrow it's rain again here in Norway. So yeah, let's take a quick look under the body also. I added this rear edge here, what they call it, this wing here. It gives maybe a bit more down force. And in the body I just added 2 stiffeners to the side here. That's really all there is, I believe. So the body is quite simple, and I just added some stickers. 990 Viper, Hobbywing because it's Hobbywing electronics, Power HD because the servo is Power HD. Yeah, that's it for the body. Also I added some foam here under the body mounts, or on the body mounts, so the body will sit good and not vibrate. Also, if its body is very loose, you will hear a lot of noise from the body when you are driving, and I don't like that at all. So the body should now sit quite tight to the car. I added the fan to the motor here, and I used the fan mount that I showed you in my previous video. But one thing is that the holes in the fan mount here are for 2 or 2.5 millimeter screws, but the holes in the motor here, motor mount, is 3 millimeter. So you have to drill up these holes here to get 3 millimeter screws down. Also, this new for me, because the 989 did not have this. This what's this, chassis stiffener, or what they call it, I'm not sure. That's here on the car. Would hit on the fan here, so you should maybe try to get the fan which is not this tall. Also, I added this grid on top of the fan because where I'm driving there are maybe some small rocks sometimes, so just to lessen the chance for something get into the fan, I added this grid here. So I had to use my Dremel, my filing machine, and remove a bit of this carbon fiber just here where they hit the fan. The electronics was a tight fit. It's the Hobbywing Max 8 G2 ESC and 4268 2500 kV motor. Also I have this metal spur. The stock is plastic or composite, so I changed to this metal. I will write in the description what the specs are. I don't remember now exactly. Was it 42 or yes, it's 42. It's written on the spur gear 42T. So the spur is 32 and the pinion is 22. And that is maybe, I don't think you can get a very much smaller pinion on this combination, because it's very tight here. You could get a bit bigger pinion, but I don't think I need it. I think this will be more enough speed. Also, as some other YouTubers have shown, you be a bit carefully because the belt can hit the set screw of the pinion. If the set screw stick out too much, it could hit onto the belt and wear out the belt. So I just did file off the top of the set screw, so it's flush with the pinion, so they don't wear out the belt. And what all else to say? Well, this what it's called again, from the servo to the servo saver, this link here could be a bit longer. I'm not talking about that. Of course I can lengthen it some with just rod ends, but I'm talking about the link itself. It could be a bit longer for me with my setup, and the opposite is for the links from the servo saver out to the both sides to the wheels. This link here could be a bit shorter because it's very it's buttoned out in the rod ends, and if you screw it a bit more you could start to crack the rod ends. So these ones could be a bit shorter and this could be a bit longer. Also, I tried to mount the receiver and the power switch on this servo receiver plate, so I ended up with just the receiver there. The receiver is a Spectrum SR 215, and I mounted the power switch here. That I also saw some other guys on the YouTube or internet. Is there something more? Well, I have the connection serve, of course. I don't have a transponder now. Is that the right word? No, I mean the device you use to track the laps, time the laps. I only have now the receiver, the fan, motor fan, and of course the servo. So that's the 3 plugs you see here now. Yes, and batteries 2S. They are connected in series, so you have 4S power, and that is quite simple. You see, from the ESC you have the plus here to the plus of this battery, and the minus to the minus of this battery, and then you just use this cable to connect the plus of this battery to the minus of the other battery, and that will give you 4S power when they are connected in series. And if I turn on the car now, you can hear the fan from the EC and the motor fan there, and the EC is counting up to 4S. So that's really just the car. The setup I will also show you in the description, but it's like the default setup, but I only use 1 degree camber in the rear and 1 degree camber in the front, 1 degree outward toe in the front, and I think I have 2 degree inward toe in the rear. So I use less camber in the rear, and that's because I don't drive on real tracks where I can drive really fast and have high corner speed, so I don't need more camber in the rear. I just find some parking lots or good asphalt spots. I have to brush some of the asphalt sometimes, and then I start to drive, and the speed will not be that crazy high, so I don't need much more camber. If I have more camber, you will see that the tires typically wear more in the inside than the outside. So with less camber, 1 degree, you will have more contact and more traction on the rear, and you will see that the tires wear more even, more or less. I also marked out 2 spots on the chassis, one there and one there, with some blue ink. and these will be the 2 spots when I set up the car that I measure the ride height. So I will use the same spot every time. I tried to use it on the rear, but the chassis does bend up a bit here. It have this edge here. So if you measure it here, you have to measure it a bit, not in the rear here, but a bit inside. So I found that I could just measure it here and there. Something else, well, I walk fast through the user manual and just comment on a few things that I noticed there. Let me just disconnect the batteries, remove the car for some time. If I could just find a spot in this hobby room I have now, very close space. The user manual, yes, let's look. You start by assembling with the chassis first, that's alright. And then we have the lower rear arms. And what I have to say here is that if you don't use the file on these what I call these small plastic pieces that you put on both sides of the arm, you will have a bit binding. So use the file to thinner these plastic what they call again. Sometimes I just don't remember what it's called. But spacers, yes, plastic spacers. And you have 1 millimeter on both sides, but use a file to just use it on a bit on both of these maybe, and you see that the arms move freely. If you don't you do that, you will have a bit binding. So try to let everything that should be able to move freely, and you don't like the binding. Was that was it something else there? No, that was all right. Here is all right. I will just comment things that I have something to say about. If I don't say anything, it's all right. So, this is the rear sway bar, and you have 4 screws for the mount in the front, and of course 2 set screws in the rear. But when you are setting up the car, you want to disconnect the sway bar completely when you are setting the downstop. And to do that, because if you just remove the 2 set screws, it's not easy to get this wire or this metal piece out of the mounts there. So you also have to unscrew these 4 screws, then you can lift up this and get it out of these 2 here. So just to say that, if some people know of any other more easy way to do things, just comment. Let's see, is it anything here? Then we are on the rear upper arms, I believe, and you have these small plastic bolts, or what it's called, that you use here. And sometimes this can be a bit hard to get in, because it's easy to get it wrong thread, or what you call it, and you can maybe destroy the thread either on these plastic bits or in this part here. So maybe this part could be in aluminium. I'm not sure if that's a good idea. At least it would be nice if Serpent had included maybe a few spare parts of this. Maybe, I think you only have 2 of these, so maybe they could include 4. In case you do something wrong there and destroy the pieces. I also have to say that I noticed that my car in the rear don't have the track width that the stock setup say you should have. So I could maybe fix that later, but for now I just will have it as it is. Nothing to say here, but I really liked this new wheel mount, or what to call it. More easy to get access to the pieces, and when you do the maintenance on a car. So something good here. I also like that the battery mount plate is divided in 2 pieces, and also I noted that the price for these 2 parts are less expensive than the 989E, which the battery plate is quite expensive for a 989E, so that's a good thing. Then yes, we have the stock Spur is plastic or composite. As I said, I bought the steel Spur, not the exact same, number of teeth, tooth, or what they call it. Move on, nothing to say here, everything is good. Yes, then we have the front anti-roll bar rod length. Some people on the internet say that if you keep this at stock 28mm, you will see that the front anti-roll bar or sway bar is touching the front axle, what it's called. So you can lift this up a bit. So I think I got it to 29mm or even a bit over that. So you don't have any touching parts. Well, not much to say about servo saver, but I used a bit of thread lock on the thread here, so it don't unscrew itself. I'm not sure if that's a problem even, but before I did tighten it, I put on some thread lock and then I did tighten it. And I think I also did a bit more than 1mm just to be sure. You don't want a weak servo saver. Yep. Yes, these are the links from the servo saver out to both sides of the steering, and this rod here could be a bit shorter, but because, as I said, if you say as they say here in manual, for 41.5mm, this rod go quite long inside these rod ends, and you could even start to see it's swelling out if you put it a bit too much inside, and it could even break out. So this rod could be maybe 4mm shorter. It don't need to be as long as this rod is. At least for me it was so. Maybe for some other people it's good as it is. For the servo I use a short size servo, not the full size servo. I'm not sure if you really need that, but I think the short size servo has enough power. Also, as I noted in the last video, with the kit it comes with the 1000 CST shock oil, but in the default setup it says 900 CST, so I'm not sure what is the right, but as I'm not the pro driver, I will not feel any difference really. So I just kept it as it was with the kit, and that is 1000 CST. Yes, then we have the pinion as I talked before, just make sure that the set screw don't hit the belt. So if so, file off a bit of the top of the set screw. Yes, and as I also said, the ESC I'm using is the Hobbywing EzRun Max 8 G2, and it's more or less exact fit. You don't have much left space here when you fit it, but it's alright fit. Yes, at least with the Spur and Pinion that I'm using. And this carbon fiber chassis stiffener or body stiffener, what they call it, just I had to file off a bit where the motor fan was. And also, as I said, you have to drill up the fan mount holes to 3mm if you're using 3mm screws. The motor mount has 3mm holes, but the fan mount just 2 or 2.5. So that's, I guess, is everything. So it's nothing big to complain about. The user manual was okay to follow, and all the parts were included as they should be. Nothing did break when I did finish off the car. Let's see. Yeah, I can see it's quite tight fit here with the ESC. The sensor cable is quite tight here, so I don't think you could use a very much bigger pinion here. As I said, it's a 32 tooth spur gear metal and a 22 tooth pinion. You could maybe use a 23 or 24, but not a much more room. Then you have to move the electronics some at least. Yeah, you can always make it possible, but with this setup it's alright. And also the car is now set up with let's see, I can if I have the book here on the right side, I can tell you quite fast. Yes, the track width in the front is 248, in the rear is 250. So I could be closer to 260 in the rear. That's not hard to modify, but I just will keep it like this now. The downstop is 2.5 in the front and 8.0 in the rear. The sway bars are lifting all right at the same time. I'm now saying the different setups in the right order that I check it. Then the ride height in the front I have 12mm, and in the rear I have 14mm. That is with new wheels, and the wheel diameter is 71 in the front and 77 in the rear. Camber in front is 1.0, camber in the rear is 1.0, toe in the front is 1.0 out, toe in the rear is 2.0 in. And the tweak of the car is also okay. And the tweak, you have to check that the weight is balanced and that the wheels are lifting at the same time, both in the rear and the front. And if not, you have to adjust the shocks a bit. Also check that when you're lifting the car up, that the springs of the shocks are not moving freely. They should be a bit tight, so they are under pressure. You should never have the springs moving freely, then you are too loose on the shocks, or you should get some new springs really. Yeah. Why do I have Downstop 8 in the rear? That's because I wanted the ride height to be a bit higher in the rear, like 14mm. If you go down on the downstop from 10 to 8 on the rear, you can have a bit higher ride height in the rear. And why do I like that? Because, as I said, I'm not driving on a perfect track, very smooth track with no rocks or sand or everything. I'm usually driving on parking lots, and there could be some uneven spaces and some small rocks. So I really like to have it a bit more ride height. Also remember, this is with new wheels. After some driving, the wheels would maybe wear 5mm on the diameter, and of course the cars will then get a bit closer to the ground. So instead of, like, let's say 14mm, you could maybe in the end be more closer to maybe 12 or 10mm, no, 10 or 12mm ride height in the rear. Also in the front, of course, you have the rear. For the EC, I'm using punch 2, timing 0, drag brake 0. And on the transmitter, this is Spectrum, I'm using Expo at 20%. So that's more or less the setup, I guess. So I have not tested the car yet. I don't believe I have time this day to do it. So I have to wait till we get some better weather again with some dry asphalt. But I think it will behave very good. Also the asphalt area I'm using quite near where I'm living is not that big, so I will not be able to drive this car very fast. But I will get the feel how it handles and how it handles in the turns, how the traction is. But I will not get the feel of the high speed and how the body is working with the downforce. Because a lot of point with this type of cars and the bodies is that with these bodies you will get a lot of downforce from the wind, from the air, when you're driving at high speed, and that will keep the rear pushed very hard to the ground, and that will give you good traction on the rear. So when I'm driving not that fast, I'm missing that traction. But as I'm not driving that fast also, I will have enough traction anyway, I guess. And with the 989E, I experienced that these cars have a very good turn radius, can turn very sharp. And just be careful with using the brakes, because if you use the brakes too much, you will see the rear part slide out. So let's say you come here and you take this left turn now, like this. If you hit the brakes too late in the middle of the turn, oh, the car will just turn over like this. So brake here, then take the turn, just slide to the turn. Don't brake in the middle of the turn if you are driving too fast and if you are touching the brakes too hard. Yeah, I guess that's everything really. So enough blah blah blah. I will also add some images when I built the car. Not a lot of pictures. But some pictures so you can see some details of how the parts are assembled really. If some people that's watching this video have good experience with this car, please make a video and show me how can I, on the fastest way, most easy way, change all the 3 belts. Let's say you break the rear belt. What parts do you have to take apart to get to the rear belt? Also from the mid belt on this other side and the front belt. How is the fastest way to change the front belt or the mid belt? I think I know how to do it, but I will not do it before I break a belt. But if some people have experience, please make a video and show me what screws you have to unscrew to get to the belts. That is really something, information I need. Also, I probably in the future will have to change the pulleys, which are plastic for the most of them. Yeah. So because if you drive and I get some small rocks between the belt and the plastic pulleys, either the belt will break in the end or the pulley will break off some tooth. So with my old 989E, I did break at least 1 or 2 belts. I think 1 rear belt and maybe 1 front belt. So yep. So that's really all for this time. It's a really nice car, I believe, and I think. I really like this new battery mount that have 2 divided carbon fiber plates, and it would be nice if Serpent could just sell 1 of these. I've seen that they sell both of these, but you really don't. You really only need 1. But they are maybe, yeah, it's different. They are not the same. So then you have to be able to buy either the left side or the right side. But they're selling them in a pair, of course. Yeah. So that's for now. I'll come back later when I will start to drive the car. Thanks.